I'm pleased to rise and make a contribution to this bill, the Justice Amendment Supporting Victims and Other Matters Bill 2020, and I want to begin by saying, first of all, that there is a balance to be struck, a sensible, calm balance to be struck, but the current balance is not quite right, and the balance that is proposed in this bill is wrong, plain wrong. I want to pay tribute to the work that has been done by Mr O'Donoghue in this process. His thoughtful, balanced and persistent consultation across a broad front has actually done a lot of work to bring to the fore the issues that are so much part of this bill. I do want to say that I think, on balance, I think most fair-minded people would come down and say that a victim of sexual assault, a victim that is wanting to speak, ought not be gagged from speaking. And I think the case that has been put by the government and others in this chamber today, in many cases, has been a tortured case, a case that has been very strained as people have tried to protect Jill Hennessy and the government from the wrath of people who have been so unkindly and harshly silenced by the law that is in place now, but the law, this much tougher law that in effect will be sharpened in a way that will make it practically more difficult for people to go forward. There will be a process in this bill, but it will be a harsh process. It will be an unbalanced process. It will be a process that makes it very difficult for people in practical sense to get clearance to speak in the way that they want to speak. And the idea that those who are deceased are not able to retrospectively or through their family have their stories told and will be in effect gagged is just an horrific thought when you think about it. And the people that have spoken out so eloquently in recent weeks to call on the government to pause, to reconsider, to look at a way forward that actually addresses their concerns. And you can feel the plea, you can feel it coming from their heart, you can feel the absolute urgency in what they're saying, and we can all understand this. We can understand why a victim at a certain point in the cycle may well wish to want to say a lot, or their family at a later point may want to say a lot. And I think it's harsh, I think it's cruel of the government to have put forward this approach that I think is an unfair one. And I do want to put on the record the failure of the Attorney-General, who I think is proving herself a very klutz-like and incompetent Attorney-General. She is someone who has botched this process comprehensively. She promises now, when the bill is in the chamber, that she will begin a process to talk to people. What an arrogant, out-of-touch Attorney-General we're talking about here. A person who wants to ram this bill through and wants to ram it through without having actually consulted properly at first. I mean, the very admission now that she needs to begin a whole new process to consult is actually a clear admission that she's botched it from the start. She has really made a very big hash of this. And listening to her on the radio in recent days, and today in particular, she has made an absolute hash of this business, an absolute hash. And she seems to me to be quite heartless in the way she's approached it. She has been a bit tone deaf. Her and the Premier have been tone deaf on this and have not understood, Mr Finn, that in fact there are people who urgently, desperately want to say what they want to say. They want to actually get things out on the record. And I have to say that in these matters, I tend to side much more with the victims, tend to side much more with the people who want to speak. I don't like systems. Inherently, I become very nervous with people who want to close down the opportunity of people to speak. I think more often the balance is better struck with a strong tendency, a strong leaning towards openness and honesty, rather than closing down what can be said. People become suspicious and become unhappy when they can't speak. And I think in this, Nina Fennell has made the point very clearly, and I think that the decisions of so many people that you must open this up, people must be able to speak, I think is where the balance should lie. And I think that the decisions by the Labor government to only begin consulting after this bill is through, I think is a travesty. So with those small number of words, I say, please support Mr O'Donoghue's amendment. It is the right amendment. There are three amendments indeed, but one in particular, the first one in particular, I think is the one that people should support. It's right.